Thank you so much for being here with us today and for doing this interview. We really want to give everyone in the state of Alabama an opportunity to get to know you, those that don't know you. So let's start out by, just in your own words, tell me, who is Alvin Briggs?
Alvin Briggs is hopefully a humble young man from Greenville, Alabama, a little small town south of Montgomery, who grew up wanting to be a fireman and ended up playing football.
Tell me a little bit about your background in sports.
My background in sports kind of started kind of awkwardly. I had friends that were playing midget football, and of course I was a mama's baby. I don't mind admitting that, and they kept asking me to come play, so I went to talk to my mom about playing, and she said, well, you got to buy your own equipment. So I started, doing a little yard work, started doing things around the house and different things, but I made the most part of my money to buy my equipment by selling pecans.
Okay.
So I had to do that, and was able to go down to Goodwill and buy a shoulder pads, helmet, and practice pants. So that's how I got started with football, and went from there playing summer league baseball and all the other things you play in a small town.
And then eventually went on to Auburn.
That was a different path. You go up and wanted to be a fireman, and you get to high school and saw these guys walking up and down the hall in these dress blues uniform, and all of a sudden you want to be a Marine. And that's what my next passion was, to be a Marine. And I had a French teacher in school that just got this pamphlet. I don't know where she got it from, and asked me if I wanted to go to Auburn's football camp, and went to Auburn's football camp, and while I was there was offered a scholarship. I didn't have any idea what that meant, didn't have a clue, and I got back to the school and talked to my coach and told him what happened. He said, well, that's, you realize what you have here? And I said, it has anything to do with the Marines? He said, no. And his name was Wayne Woodham, and so we go from there, and fast forward, and a year later I ended up at Auburn, and then my best friend was also there, signed a year before me, Tommy Powell. So that's that was kind of that path was kind of
indirect.
Okay,
well, good. So then what happened after college?
After college, I had a chance to opportunity to sign a free agent college contract with the Dallas Cowboys. Was there. The coach there was Tom Landry, and because of some injuries, wasn't able to stay there as long, and ended up at University of North Alabama with my former position coach, Bobby Wallace, and was at the University of North Alabama for just about 10 years. During that time, had some great athletes, and were able to win 3 consecutive national championships, and just did some phenomenal things while we were there. And,
is that around the time that you met former director Steve Savarese?
I met Coach Savarese back at Auburn my freshman year. My roommate was one of his former players, quarterback by the name of Ken Parham. And prior to that, before that, I had met Cornelius Bennett on the road, who obviously went on to be an All-American at Alabama. I met him on some recruiting trips. So, it was my relationship with Coach Savarese goes back as my first day of stepping on campus at Auburn.
So, and how did Coach Savarese then bring you here to the Alabama High School Athletic Association?
It was really an incident that we had at Florence High School. I was a head football coach and athletic director at Florence High School, and we had an incident there, altercation during the game. And he called me about 11:45 that night and said, Alvin. Man, his side of the story is the way I handled that incident was the reason I ended up here at the Alabama High School Athletic Association. So, he's, I guess, again, he's been taking care of me for close to 40 years now.
Well, that's great. Well, tell me what made you want this job?
It was all part of the interview. with Coach Savarese in this very building with the great Richard Robinson and Coach Savarese and Wanda Gill and one of the assistant directors. I was interviewing for the director of the Coach Association. During the interview process, the very last question Coach Savarese asked me is where do I want to be in 10 years? And being the competitor that I am, I just said, I want to be in your seat. I want your job. I think, you know, that's what you do. I mean, you don't say, well, Coach, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I want to be. I mean, you just, and, you know, as the story told, you say, be careful what you ask for. And here we are 10 years later.
Well, that's wonderful. What do you see as maybe some of your biggest challenges stepping into this role?
Well, you know, there's some great men that have been in this seat, you know, and we're going to start with your grandfather because I have a personal connection with your grandfather, Coach Scott. I mean, and come to find out that my high school superintendent and Coach Scott were teammates and with real good friends. So there's another connection that we have that we've been talking about off camera. But those shoes and the standard that your grandfather set, and then the standard that Coach Washburn, you know, followed in his footsteps and setting, and then I had the privilege of meeting your grandfather when I got hired here. When Coach Savarese introduced me to Coach Scott. Coach Scott used to come by here once a week to see Coach Savarese. And, you know, and I had just got hired and I was coming through the door and Coach Scott was coming through the door and he said, who are you, young man? I said, my name is Alvin Briggs and I've just been hired as a coach. So, well, let me sit here and talk to you for a second. So for about 3 minutes, he gave me the where-tos and, you know, how to dress and what I need to do. And you know, everybody's going to be looking at you and, you know, all the coaches are going to look for you for guidance and all these, you know. And so, yes, sir. And we go through the door and Coach Savarese, so I guess I wanted to introduce you now. But, you know, and in that same token, you know, your grandfather and Mr. Washburn and Coach Savarese, all three worked at the state fair together. Your grandfather was still going out there working the state fair. Coach Washburn used to come back here and they always go out there and they, you know, the community service part of this job that a lot of people don't understand that still goes on. And those are things that I look forward to, you know, continuing and prayerfully, and hope I can fill the shoes that those great men have lived.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up my grandfather because I can remember him talking about this organization. And, you know, this organization, the way that I perceive it is it's all about, it's a governing body and it's all about the rules and those rules that come up through the schools. And how do you feel like today, how does it feel to run an organization that is charged with enforcing and keeping the rules when I feel like, you know, our society, there's a lot of people that are trying to skirt rules or rules don't apply to me. How does that feel? Well,
you know, the thing that we have to remember in this office that we're not here to rule anybody ineligible. We're not here to, you know, just to hammer it. We're here to help our member schools. That's the whole point of what we're here. And we let them know that that's why we're here. We're here to serve you. We're here for you. We're not here to be up here and say, you have to do what we say. And our member schools understand that. I think we're the last frontier of what America is all about. And our membership knows that. And that's what the foundations build on. And, you know, this is the 100th year of this organization that was founded by 78 principals throughout the state. And for all those people to come together and we still have a great organization speaks volume of our membership and the leadership, because the leadership has to lead those members. And as we move forward, that's what we continue to do, is to continue to do what our forefathers asked us to do, is just to guide. And that's what we do. We continue to guide, and that's what we always do.
Well, you know, so much of this is about teams and coaches, and in a lot of ways, you're the coach here and you've got a team. So tell me a little bit about your team. What's the strength of the team here at the association?
I think the strength of the team is what it's always been about, is that we all here for a purpose. And the purpose is to give our students and our communities the best opportunity to go out and compete no matter what it is, no matter what sport it is, no matter what's going on, is to give them that venue so they can have a community to rally around. And so the strength of our team is the fact that we love what we do. We love athletics, and you can't be here if you don't love athletics. You can't be here if you don't love the students that are out there participating, because that's what you want to do, is to have them participating. And through these trying times we have going on now with the pandemic, none of us have ever been through. And so to be able to navigate these waters, that means that the communities have to do everything the way they're supposed to be. That means the schools have to do everything the way they're supposed to. And that means the families and the students have to do everything. And so that's what we're doing, and that's what's happening. I mean, none of this happening if we don't have cooperation from everybody. It doesn't matter what we say here, what we put out. If there's no cooperation, it doesn't work, and it's working.
It's working. You mentioned, the pandemic, and even beyond the pandemic, there's been a lot of changes in high school sports over the last several years. There's been new sports that have been included under the association, even esports, which is just. I'd love to talk to my grandfather about esports. I don't even think he'd understand it. But tell me, what do you see as the best thing, the biggest opportunity that has happened in high school sports in the state of Alabama in the last several years?
The big thing is that we're still finding avenues for people who are not into the physical play. I'm going to use the sport of bowling. That is one of our growing sport, because that's not a physical game where you're getting out, you hitting against people. You're one-on-one with a bowling ball, and it gives everybody an opportunity to compete. And we can only, and then you talk about esports. I don't understand esports either, alone your granddad. But that's another avenue for young people to compete, and that's what we want to provide. A platform for them to be able to show their ability. And those same students that win those state championships in bowling are just excited as those that win the state championship in basketball and baseball and football and all of what we would call our traditional sports.
Right. Well, and on the same token, what do you see as the biggest challenge, in the next several years for high school sports?
It's the challenge will always be, where's the next sport going to be till we bring in. The challenge, we will never know what that's going to be when it comes through the door. We just got to be prepared and be proactive and continue to help our membership through whatever it is. That's our challenge. Our challenge is to continue to be able to lead our young people, because we still all want the same thing. That's for our young people to enjoy their high school.
I know everybody is so excited about you stepping into this role, taking on this leadership position. The entire state, eyes are on you, all of athletics, and you're going to do a fantastic job. We're really rooting for you.
Well, I don't want eyes on me. I want eyes on our students, on our schools, because that's where we're here.
Right.
We're here for them, and that's where we want our eyes. We want our eyes on our students, because they are our future. We want our eyes on our communities, because they're the one that support our students. So that's where we want our eyes. Our eyes shouldn't be on this office, because this office doesn't do anything without our membership, without our schools.